Thank you for joining us today for Positive Solutions for Families, 8 practical tips for managing behavior in young children. Produced by the Center on the Social and Emotional Foundations for Early Learning and the Center for Evidence-Based Practices. Today's presentation is sponsored by the Family and Educator Partnership with the Mississippi Bend Area Education Agency. Our presenters include Carol Aden, Rachel Terry, and Kathy Anson. Has life with your young child become filled with conflict and confusion? Does it seem as if even the simplest activity can turn quickly into disaster when your child's behavior is out of control? Are you beginning to feel as if things are getting worse instead of better? You are not alone. Many, if not most parents, find themselves struggling with the challenging behavior of their young child at some point in time. The good news is that there are evidence-based effective strategies based on what the child is communicating that you can use to create positive solutions for your family. Today, we will review each tip and think about situations you have experienced that are similar to the provided examples. You will need to decide which strategies are likely to work best for your family. You might want to try 1 or 2 of the strategies at first, and then add others as you become more comfortable with the process. Remember, the idea is to develop specific approaches for your own family that can be used in everyday life. Tip number 1, keep your expectations realistic. It is important to know and understand your child's abilities and limitations. When you expect too much or too little from your child, it can lead to problems and frustrations for you both. It might be unrealistic to state to a young child to clean up your room. Those types of expectations can be very broad, and what might be clean to a young child may not be your idea of what you wanted done. This can lead to frustration and behaviors. Instead, we can break the task down into smaller segments, one task at a time. The first step may be pick up the clothes. When that task is done, give praise and positive acknowledgement for that part. The second step may be make the bed. Praise the efforts they put into it, even if it doesn't meet your idea of a perfectly made bed. Move on to the next task. This will develop routines over time that will lead to the understanding of the expectation, clean your room. Remember to consider your child's maximum potential as well as limitations. Too low of expectations leads to a lower level of achievement and oftentimes poor behavior. You know your child best. The most consistent predictor of a child's academic achievement and social adjustment is parent expectations. Tip number 2, plan ahead. Try to anticipate what your child may need or do in various situations. Make sure that you plan ahead to set your child up for a successful experience. Hope for the best, but plan for the worst. And always have a backup plan. If an activity or environment is going to be loud for your child and that is a trigger, one suggestion would be to bring some earbuds or headphones to cancel out any noise in those loud situations. If you have a picky eater and are dining out at a restaurant or going to a friend's house, maybe bring some food or snacks that you know they will eat, especially if your child has food allergies or certain restrictions. Another example, if you are in a car driving somewhere and get caught in traffic, or your plans have been delayed and there's a lot of downtime, or your activity is canceled altogether and other plans need to be arranged, make sure you have a plan. Last-minute changes can be upsetting to kids. Talking about the activity ahead of time and possible scenarios and how to work through those help young children process those ideas and cope before they happen. One suggestion is to have a backpack or tote handy in the car or that you can carry with you, packed with things that are calming and familiar and help your child in any situation or problem that may arise. These items may include a favorite toy, book, blanket, movie, coloring supplies, snacks, or water, or any other item depending on the event you are going to. Another suggestion is to have a first aid kit and hygiene items in your car or seasonal items like bug spray and sunscreen handy, just in case these situations arise and they are needed. Think about this. You are the expert for your child and know them better than anyone else. Some of the strategies you try may work for a time and then stop working. That's why it's important to have a plan B. And you are the one constant in your child's life.
Tip number 3, clearly state your expectations in advance. Remember that your child can't read your mind, so be sure to give one clear instruction. That way, they'll know what it is you want them to do. Teach the behavior or expectation you want to see. There are many ways we can do this, such as talking about it before you leave the house to go somewhere, role play or practice with your child, or gently reminders along the way. If an expectation is picking up toys or finishing a task, you can make it fun. There are lots of different timers available on the internet, or you can make a game out of it, such as Minute to Win It. One place to set expectations for behavior is the store. Let your child know what they need to do before you get into the store. For example, when we are in the store, I need you to stay right next to the cart versus no running around when we're in the store. You may need to give some gentle reminders, but keep it clear what they need to do versus what not to do. Tip number 4, offer limited, reasonable choices. Most children aren't born with the built-in ability to make decisions and then accept the consequences. In order for your child to learn to take personal responsibility, they will need plenty of practice and support. Offering choices not only helps kids make decisions and then live with them, but it also helps them to feel a little powerful. There are so many opportunities throughout the day to offer choices, such as what to wear. Do you want to wear the red outfit or the blue outfit? Food. Do you want eggs for breakfast or cereal? Do you want to do hot lunch or cold lunch today? Would you like to take out the garbage before dinner or afterwards? Do you want to do your homework before your snack or after your snack? I could go on and on because it's so easy to give limited, reasonable choices. There's one important rule to remember when giving choices. Only give choices that you can live with. Tip number 5, use when-then statements. A when-then statement is a simple instruction that tells your child what they must do in order to get a certain something that they want. This is also a great way to avoid using that trigger word, no. For example, your child is heading outside to play and they haven't cleaned up their lunch dishes. Instead of saying, no, you can't go outside, you need to clean up your lunch mess first, which may start an argument, you could say, when you get your lunch dishes cleaned up, you're welcome to go outside. When using when-then statements, give it a positive focus. State it once, set a reasonable time limit, follow through. Be prepared. Their response may be no, but stay calm. These tips are not going to make everything perfect, but they will help you respond to behavior in a positive way. And at the end of the day, you will feel better about yourself and how you handled things. Here are some examples of keeping it positive. When you put your toys away, then you may go outside and play. versus, no, you're not going outside until your toys are picked up. When you help clear the dinner table, then you can have some iPad or TV time versus, help clear the table or there will be no iPad or TV time tonight. How things are presented can have a big impact as to whether there is a meltdown or an argument.
Tip number 6, catch your child being good. Did you ever stop to think about how much time you spend telling your child what he should not do? Instead, try giving specific, positive attention to the behavior that you want to see. This will teach your child what you want him to do and increase the likelihood that this behavior will occur again and again. The more we acknowledge the good behavior, the more likely we'll see the good behavior that we as parents all desire. Your child may be attending a school that practices PBIS, which stands for Positive Behavior Intervention Supports. This is where the whole building staff, including teachers, principal, paraeducators, office staff, cafeteria staff, and the maintenance staff, can all participate in praising or catching a child being good to also try and achieve the goal of positive behavior at school. Is your school a participant in PBIS? Just ask your child's teacher or principal to find out what they are doing at their school for positive behavior. We'd like to share a funny video on a comical version about positive behavior by giving positive reinforcements. Please bear with us if an advertisement pops up.
Fine, whatever. Are you finished?
Well, thank you. How thoughtful. Would you like a chocolate?
Yeah, sure. Oh, sorry, Sheldon. I almost sat in your spot.
Did you? I didn't notice. Have a chocolate.
Thank you. What's this cartoon called again?
Oshikuru Demon Samurai.
It's not a cartoon. It's anime.
Anime. You know, I knew a girl in high school named Anime. Anime Fletcher. She was born with one nostril. Then she had this bad nose job and basically wound up with 3.
You're here a lot now.
Oh, am I talking too much? I'm sorry. Sit,
Thank you. Chocolate?
please. Yeah. You know what? Hold on. Let me take this in the hall. You'll never guess who they got to replace you with.
Okay. I know what you're doing.
Really?
Yes. You're using chocolates as positive reinforcement for what you consider correct behavior.
Very good.
Fine, whatever.
Positive reinforcements don't have to be tangible things like chocolate, but certainly positive reinforcements could include a high five, hug, pat on the back, or by simply saying, good job. As already mentioned, positive reinforcements don't always have to be tangible or edible rewards. Verbal positive affirmations can go a long way too. You could say, thank you for picking up your room. Thank you for setting the dinner table. Thank you for reading a book to your baby sister. You could also say, what a good problem solver you are. You were able to finish your math homework without any help from me. You could also say, You were being so kind when you used your inside voice when your sister was sleeping, or when you put your books back on the shelf after you were done reading them. The more you use these positive affirmations while catching your child being good, the more natural it would become to say them. Don't be surprised if your child turns around and starts saying these same positive affirmations to you. Who doesn't like to be told when they're doing a good job at something? I do, and kids love affirmations too. Use positive words. Dr. Laura Riffle is known as the behavior doctor, and she states that when you speak softly in the right ear of a child, the child will process what is being said on the left side of the brain and will follow through. It might be more effective to get down at the child's level and speak quietly in their ear rather than to shout it from the bottom of the stairs or from room to room. So use positive words. Younger children may have a problem with contractions, so instead of saying can't or don't, make sure your child hears cannot or do not, so it's easier for them to understand. Kids will hear the last word of your statement. Don't run. They hear the word run. We want to say, please walk. Walk is the last word they hear. No yelling. They hear the last word yelling. We want to say, use your quiet voice, please. When they are using their quiet voice, you could say, wow, I really like the inside voice you are using. Thanks, buddy. And then give them a high five. Tip number 7, stay calm. When your child's behavior is unacceptable, you can choose to either respond to it or ignore it. If you decide that a reaction is required, remember that the least response necessary is usually best, unless there is a safety concern. Acting calm with a minimum of attention will reduce the risk of strengthening the very behavior you wish to discourage. The more out of control your child becomes, the more self-control you need to show. When you remain calm, your child learns appropriate ways to respond to difficult situations. Kids seek attention, even negative attention. If we show that positive behaviors receive the good attention, that is what we are striving for, the good behavior. Staying calm gives you time to think about how you want to respond. If you know that putting your child to bed at night is a challenge, you can start by talking about what that might look like by setting up the expectations for the evening and talk about it at dinner time. Maybe the conversation could go something like this. After dinner, you can play outside until 6 o'clock and then come in and do your homework until 7. Watch TV for half an hour and then you can take your shower or bath. After that, we will brush your teeth. Do you want to use the pink toothbrush or the green toothbrush? Then we will put your pajamas on. Do you want to wear your Paw Patrol pajamas or your Elmo pajamas? We will read a book together. Do you want to read the book you brought home from school or the book we got from the library? And then we will tuck you into bed. Do you want to go to bed at 8:15 or at 8:30? Staying calm also shows that you're being a good role model for your child. Tip number 8, using neutral time. Neutral time cannot be found in the middle of a difficult situation filled with strong feelings, such as trying to do homework, going to bed at night, watching too much TV, or spending too much time on social media. Instead, neutral time is when everyone is calm enough to think, talk, and listen. It's important to remember that neutral time can occur either before or after a child's unacceptable behavior. You can talk about what happened earlier and talk about positive ways to handle problems in the future. The challenge is to identify neutral time and make use of these opportunities, as in the previous example about going to bed. So just some final thoughts on teaching positive behavior. Keep this in mind. When kids are learning math, we teach them. When kids are learning science, we teach them. When kids are having behaviors, we sometimes yell, get mad, or discipline. Instead, we need to be teaching how to achieve the good behavior by using the material shared in this PowerPoint. Another important principle that we would like to share is filling or refilling your child's relationship tanks. One way to think about your relationship with your child is as a tank that needs to be filled and refilled on a regular basis. When we actively build positive relationships with hugs, smiles, encouraging statements, listening, and playing, it is as if we are all filling or refilling our child's gas tank. When we fill our child's tank, the more confidence they will have in developing relationships with others. Building positive relationships is mainly about positive time and attention and not giving your child things. Can you think of some no-cost strategies for building positive relationships with your child? Here's a list of ideas that you can help fill or refill your child's tank. There are hundreds of ways to spend time with your children. My favorite is riding bikes with my daughter and taking a walk with my son. I also love cooking and eating together with my family as a whole, with the TV and cell phones turned off. These are just some good websites to check out on behavior. One is from the behavior doctor that we mentioned earlier. This is one of our favorites. Here are some self-confidence books that you can spend time reading with your children. And here's another list of good books about behavior expectations that you can read with your children as well. Just to sum up today's presentation in a nutshell, an acronym, follow this tip. Teach the behavior, imprint the behavior by modeling, practice the behavior, and praise the appropriate attempts. We have included the brochure in which this presentation was based on. We hope you can utilize these practices with your child to achieve good behavior. And thank you very much for taking the time to listen to this presentation on positive solutions for families.